Many of Harvard's Generation Z, Gen Z at elite colleges, they say sellout is no longer an insult. I've said this on the stream. I feel like sellout hasn't been an insult since like low-key the 90s. Nowadays, it's almost like if you don't sell out, yeah, people are like, why weren't you offered? Why didn't you get the chance? I went to the Blackpink concert. I'm not like a huge K-pop person, but I got an opportunity to go with friends to Blackpink. I went to their first American concert, and it was the most, in a good way, I guess, nowadays, it was the most sellout concert I've ever seen in my entire life. It was filled to the brim with ads, including at one point in the middle where they paused the show to play a full 5-minute car commercial. Where they're like driving Kias around a parking garage, and it's just so different. Like, can you imagine like, I don't know, the Rolling Stones or something back in the day? Like, back when sellout was a thing? The meme was an image of a head with "I need to get rich" slapped across it. Freshmen after spending 0.02 seconds on campus, read the caption. Okay, so freshmen get on campus and they want to get rich. Yeah, I mean, that's not that crazy. Despite the popular image of this generation, that of Greta Thunberg and the Parkland activists, as one driven by idealism, Gen Z students at these schools appear to be strikingly corporate-minded. Even when they arrive at college wanting something very different, an increasing number of students at elite universities seek the imprimatur of employment by a powerful firm and making a bag as quickly as possible. Well, I don't think that's that different. I honestly think this is like, you go back to the 80s and Harvard students didn't want to make a bag. They've always wanted to make a bag. They've always worked at Goldman Sachs. What's the difference? Actually, they answer my question. They've always been major feeders into finance and consulting, and students have always wanted to make money. Okay, I'm sorry. The biggest increase in students wanting to become well-off financially happened between the 1970s and 80s, and it's been creeping up ever since then. Isn't that strange? Ever since 1971. But in the last 5 years, faculty and administrators say the pull of these industries has become supercharged. In an age of astronomical housing costs, high tuition and inequality, students and their parents increasingly see college as a mean to lucrative job. Bro, not even lucrative. People see college as a means to a job. They're just trying to find an employment. At Harvard, a graduating senior who passed on a full scholarship to another school told me he felt immense pressure to show his parents that their $400,000 investment into Harvard would allow him to get the sort of job where he could make $1 million a year. Jesus Christ! $1 million a year out of college? Also $400K tuition. Jesus. That's so little. Like, everyone in my chat makes more than this. Only $1 million and you're in Harvard? Broke ass? Oh, so he's going to work at Blackstone. He's going to work at private equity firm Blackstone, where he believes he will learn and achieve more in 6 years than in 30 years in a public service-oriented organization. It's funny. Learn and achieve I'll just replace this. There's definitely a herd mentality. If you're not doing finance or tech, it can feel like you're doing something wrong. Someone else told me it was common at parties to hear their peers say they just want to sell out. What they learn at Harvard, he said, is that actually doing anything meaningful is too hard. Wait, everyone arrived on campus hoping to change the world. But what they learned at Harvard is that actually doing anything meaningful is too hard. People give up on their dreams and decide they might as well make money. I'm not even necessarily disagreeing. It's very hard to make a meaningful impact on the world. And also, in general, you generally have to get your own shit right before you can help others. It's very difficult to help someone before you've got some sort of stability of your own. But it's so funny to do this while you're still a student at Harvard. You're one of the most privileged people in the world. You have yet to graduate, and when you do, you're gonna have more opportunities. It's insane to be like, it's art, this is too difficult. That's such an early time to give up. Between freshman and sophomore year, you decided, As a freshman, he planned to major in environmental engineering. As a sophomore, he switched to economics, joining 5 of his 6 roommates. That's what we need, 5 more economists. 5 more Harvard economists who are never wrong. He hoped to run a hedge fund by the time he's in his 30s. Dreaming big. God, I can't wait to run a hedge fund by the time I'm in my 30s. Before that, he wanted to earn a good salary, which he defined as $500,000 a year. Yeah, just something stable. Okay, listen, I know Harvard is an excellent school. Don't get me wrong. Average Harvard graduating salary. The median starting salary for Harvard graduates is between 70K and 90K. That's what I thought, dude. This dude's talking about $500,000 out of college. According to a Harvard Crimson survey of Harvard seniors, the share of 2024 graduates going into finance and consulting is 34%. That's so disgusting. I feel like consulting is one of the biggest wastes of talent that our country has. And if all of our brightest young minds are going into fucking McKinsey, just to understand, the role of somebody working at a consulting firm like McKinsey is to essentially make PowerPoints for people that own real businesses to make it okay for them to do layoffs. In practice, that is what you actually do, is you make a PowerPoint that says you have to cut costs. And then the CEO that hired your consulting firm can be like, look, it's not my fault. The consulting firm said it. And then they can do the layoffs without feeling bad. That is the purpose of those jobs. Most consulting firms are hired to do something that the CEO already wants to do and needs justification. I mean, it's highly paid. It's very highly paid, but Jimmy Beast says to always use consultants. Jimmy Beast is talking about if you're getting a hot air balloon, get a hot air balloon consultant. He's not talking about hire a management consultant so you could lay off factory workers. These statistics approached the previous highs in 2007, after which the global financial crisis drove down the share to a recent low of 20% in 2009. So the number of elite university graduates going into consulting gets higher and higher and higher until a recession. And we are approaching the previous high. Aiden Barton, seen here, said that selling out was more of a descriptive phrase than a judgmental one. I'm not surprised to see you sell out. You're telling me this guy's not going to work for Greenpeace? I'm shocked. I'm shocked. When I saw this guy, I thought for sure he'd be on the front lines. This guy's going to work in finance or consulting? You're lying. David Halleck, director of employer relations at Yale's Office of Career Strategy, thinks students may use the term sellout because of the perceived certainty. It's the easy path to follow. It's well-defined. Yeah, maybe they're actually just looking. Like, the idea is if you say that I'm selling out enough, then you're guaranteed to get a good job. If you say I'm selling out, well, then I guess I'm guaranteed to get the high-paying job that's not moral. No, I don't think so. There's no guarantee, bro. You might just say you're selling out and then not getting it. This happened a lot when I was working in Silicon Valley, where people would, they would make money, like from a stock vest or something, and then they wouldn't want to work anymore, so they'd either quit or quiet quit or whatever, knowing that they weren't going to get promoted, probably going to get fired or let go or put on a PIP or just not have a job. And they were always like, yeah, you know, whatever. If I ever need money, I'll just sell out and work for Facebook. I'm not kidding. A lot of people told me this. A lot of people told me, yeah, you know, if I ever need to actually figure it out, or like ever wanted to start getting a house, I'll just sell out and work for Facebook. And it's like, I always thought this, but I was a lot younger, so I was like, all right. It's like, what if you just don't get the job? What if Facebook just doesn't hire you? They all said it like it was just like, tap it in. Yeah, I can just make $250K minimum and go work at Facebook. And it's like, maybe in 2021 or maybe in 2014 you could, but I think that's so different now. They're certainly not hiring like they were. Some students talk about turning to a different career later on after they've made enough money. Nowadays, English concentrators often say they're going into finance or management consulting for a couple of years before writing their novel. That's the novel I want to read. A person with no life experience who did 3 years as a management consultant. Pour your soul out on the page. A surprising number of students explain their desire for a corporate job by drawing on the ethos of effective altruism. Oh, the Sam Bankman-Fried. They believe they can have a greater impact by maximizing earnings to donate to a cause rather than working for that cause. Well, to be honest, that's probably true. It's just whether or not they end up actually donating. But once students board the prestige escalator and become accustomed to a certain salary, walking away can feel funny, like walking off an escalator. The change is striking to those who have been in academia for years. This teacher first noticed a change around 2015 with students who had been in high school during the Great Recession and who were therefore prioritized financial security. The students saw what their parents went through, and the parents saw what happened to themselves. As college tuition started to rise, people started looking for monetary payoffs right after graduation. I mean, that's a big part of it too, is like if you have a big-ass student loan, and then you graduate and you have like a 6-month grace period, then it's like you gotta start paying. You need a job. 20 years ago, an introduction to investment banking event was held at the undergraduate library at Harvard. 40 students showed up, all men, and when asked to define investment banking, none of them raised their hands. Now, according to Goldman Sachs, the banks had 6 times as many applicants this year as it did 10 years ago. I'm glad we have more investment bankers. That's good. Oh, what is this? In recent years, he's observed two trends among students pursuing wealth. There's the option buyer, the student who takes a job in finance or consulting to keep more options open. Then there's what he calls the lottery ticket buyer, the students who go all in on a risky venture like a startup or a new tech, hoping to make a windfall. They know people who bought Bitcoin at 2000. They know people who bought Tesla at 20. Gamblers, okay. All of this logic goes, make the bag so you can do good in the world. Make the bag so you can go to retirement. Make the bag so you can then go do what you really want to do. But this really underestimates how important work is to people's lives. What it gets wrong is you spend 15 years at the hedge fund, you're going to be a different person. That is true, bro. You put in 15 years at a hedge fund, you're going to be a hedge fund guy. You will be. But that's 15 years anywhere. I can't judge too much. Like, you know, people want financial security in a world that prioritizes money over and over. I don't think it's that crazy, but it sucks that so many talented people go into consulting and hedge funds and investment banking. It feels like a waste of their talents. They should go into content creation. That's what I'm talking about. I think they should become kick streamers. That's where like the real best and the brightest are showing how they can help the world.